I mean, after 5 years MOP, you can rent out everything. If you have 6 bedrooms and I just average it out at about $800 per room, you're collecting about 4,008. Your mortgage is only about what, 2,005, depending on interest rates. You're still collecting about 2,000 passive. Then you can make whichever career moves that you think you want to make, whether you want to become an entrepreneur, whether you want to become freelancer. You can have that flexibility of choice.
Welcome back to Chills with TFC. I'm your host Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and I'm very excited to do a follow-up episode today. I think it's a follow-up because we were quite successful with the previous episode around retiring in Johor and all that jazz, right? So I got a good friend on the show with me. You want to introduce yourself for people that don't know you for some reason?
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Dave. I'm actually the author of Minimalist in the City, and at the same time, also a financial coach. So my blog actually blog about personal finance, financial independence, and some minimalist topics.
But minimalist is the thing you're famous for, lah.
I'm famous for that, lah.
Yeah.
Because
So,
my house is actually modeled that way.
But your Marie Kondo moment over already, not? Are you still minimalist?
Oh, yeah.
Marie Kondo give up already.
Give up. I also gave up already. After I have two kids, I also gave up already.
So the line of thought is the same.
The line of thought is the same. So it's more just for myself, so that I lead a minimalist. I show by example. Lifestyle, I show by example.
Okay.
But then in terms of like items, that's not to have minimal item, that's not the objective anymore, basically.
Okay. So you have moved on.
I moved on
because
already,
of the kids, not because you want, not because you want more
kids,
things.
wife, there's a lot. It's not that straightforward.
I say one, kid, I know you're watching. But yes, more importantly, we have a great guest on the show today, right? Also shift to Johor already, right? So would you like to introduce yourself for everybody that don't know you?
Okay, can. Hi everyone, my name is Shamir. I speak regionally at property events and talking about real estate culture and economics.
What is real estate culture?
Real estate culture and economics.
Oh, real estate, culture and economics. Okay. I thought real estate as a culture. But anyway, yes.
Of course, I earn my income by being a real estate consultant with PropNext Realty. So I'm with the PropNext Shophouse Elites team, and I still serve the HDB and the private segment here in Singapore. Yeah.
But then you shift to Johor.
Yes.
And that's what we want to discuss more today, right? So maybe you just kind of lay the ground, like why are you there? Like what's the thought process? Because everybody will just think, because it's cheap law, so you go over law. But I just want to hear your story. How do you go there? Because it's not easy, right? Every day, then you want to convince kids, wife, everybody go over. You know, it's quite some work. So share with us your story.
Yeah, so I think the background to this story is that I always joke with my wife.
Before he said that, there's a precursor that a joke is never a joke. Right? Sometimes it's what we call seeding. Maybe.
I accepted the idea.
Yeah, inception. Yeah. Tell us.
Okay, so I stay in Woodlands, right? So we go in regularly for our petrol runs, grocery runs, our dating time.
You'll do 75% before you go in. It's a half.
Yes,
Next,
yes,
half.
I do. Sometimes slightly below, but the officer kind of nice to me. So I mean, during some of those trips, then we start exploring the possibility of moving there. So I'm very compliant. So I fulfill my MOP first. I'm staying at HDB, but I already had this like kind of idea that I wanted to live there. So I didn't say I want to retire there. I said I want to live there. How does it feel to live there? So as soon as we hit our MOP, I mean, she's still very resistant. It's not safe. What about the kids? Right? So, but my wife and I, one thing that we like to do, both of us, is to view properties. Being in real estate, right, I also like to view properties. So we will sometimes schedule our weekends as a family outing. Sometimes I bring my 2 kids along and we'll just view properties. Like nothing better to do, right?
Have you ever asked your kid how they feel?
They enjoy the process. Which auntie house are we going today? Which uncle house are you going today?
I remember those days they even have like some refreshment.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Please tell us more.
So in October last year, that's when we started viewing a lot more properties. So I think just for context, right, I think JB is like a district by itself. I mean, Johor is quite huge, right? You have you can go as far up as Muar. But JB is something that most Singaporeans are familiar with. And then after that, you have your Iskandar region, the Pasir Gudang side. I've been to the Iskandar side a few times. You're talking about Aeon Bukit Indah. You're talking about Forest City. I play golf. So I frequent that area quite a lot. That's where we started to view at East Ledang, Horizon Hills, Sunway side, Avira. And then suddenly this one house just hit us.
Wow.
Like somehow in terms of price point, point also, it hit us. That's when we decided to just, okay, I think let's do this. I think I can make the commute work because I think most Malaysians actually come into Singapore on the weekdays and then they go back on the weekends. Of course, over the past 5 years while living in Woodlands, I kind of know the trends. Never going to Johor on a Friday night.
Oh, yes, never. Oh my, that's the worst.
And never come back to Singapore on a Sunday. I've been stuck on a Sunday evening before with 3 kids. It's no joke, man, on a Sunday evening. After that, I vowed to myself, never come back on a Sunday evening. But Sunday, you want to go into Johor? No problem. Most of the time, the traffic is pretty smooth.
Okay, yeah, but I want to ask, you were saying like the price point is correct. You mind sharing a little bit, like where are we looking at?
So just for fun, right?
Yeah.
I think over the past 3 years, even throughout COVID, we were just observing the prices. Propertyguru.com.my, Horizon Hills, how much? Avira, how much? Condo 3-bedder, how much? In Johor, right? So you're talking about your RNF, Princess Cove, and so we've been observing the different price points. So I noticed that it is increasing, right? I mean, just to share, is what I got was 4,000 square foot of land built up, semi-D, 4,000 built up, 3 stories, and 4,000 ringgit
Per month.
So
it's a rental structure.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess because of our past experiences dealing with our property asset progression, right? We kind of know that rent first, then you decide whether you want to stay there. And then of course, I mean, I've seen a lot of clients, landed, condo, HDB, right? And I can see that, I know that I don't foresee myself living in a landed forever because the stairs are just gonna kill me later on.
Yes, correct.
Coming up and down. But while I am still below 40 this year, okay, I'll be turning 40 in October.
Congrats, Big four. Big four is the new 3 lah.
If I don't give myself this opportunity to experience landed living, which I have never experienced before, then I may not get that chance, right? Then at the same time, I guess space becomes a priority. My kids, I have 3 kids. Age 10, 6 and 4.
But that aside, right? Actually, you're still quite active here.
Yes.
Right? Like in Singapore, you're not retiring there.
No, I haven't retired yet.
You're not like Hossan, right? Like teach at Marlborough, go and talk, right? You know, do all those kind of things over there. He's spending a lot of time there.
Yeah, correct.
You know, but
more time there.
Yeah, more time there than, I mean, sometimes he's here, but he spends more time there.
Yeah.
But I know you like macam, you come back very often, right? So like, what is that thought process? How is that way of life? You know, what are you doing back here? You know,
I was talking about the coming in and out, right?
Yeah.
I think being a real estate agent, you kind of have that flexibility to manage your time. You kind of pack your schedule usually on the weekends. So on the weekends, when people are going back into Johor, I actually come back into Singapore.
Oh, okay.
So like, for example, today is the Thursday, right? Sometimes I come back a day earlier and then I pack my activities for Thursday. I still stay in my HDB in Singapore.
So you never rent out?
No, I didn't rent out.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We can come to that.
Yeah, we can come to that. We can come to that bit later. Yes, the strategy, right? Yeah.
So I come back to Singapore like today, and then I will overnight here, and then tomorrow is Friday, right? Then I can do my other activities on Friday, and then I will do my weekend viewings, and then I know Sunday no jam, right, to go back in. So usually I go back on Sunday. So half a day, usually Sunday morning if I have viewings, quick one, and then I will go back into Johor.
Why aren't you doing that then? Because your work also quite flexible.
Actually, I never had that thought all this while to move over. But I do have a very good friend of mine who moved over to JB like 10 years back.
Oh, veteran Johorian.
And I actually can see the struggle initially that they have because their strategy is to, you know, that they inherited one HDB and then they also have one condo. So both of them, they rent out. Then in JB, they actually kind of like their parents, they own one land at Leisure Farm. So eventually, I think they built a house there. And then eventually they uproot themselves to go there and then send their kids to the international schools there. But I think the main challenge is they are teachers. So they don't have the flexibility of working from home, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but then they have been like doing that for the last 10 years, you know, early commute every day to...
Serious? So they joined the Johor commute?
So they stay very near to Leisure Farm. So their schools are actually more towards the Tuas, Pioneer side. Yeah. So that is the nearest lah. So their school is normally around the west side, Bukit Panjang, that area lah. So they have to come in very early, I think 6 or 5, something like that. Just to avoid the jam, go to school early. Because they need to reach school about around 7, I guess.
Yeah. But in that exchange, the house is very big lah in Leisure Farm.
The house is big lah.
So good life in that sense.
Yeah. good life
the
lah.
stereotypical suburb life, you know,
Yeah,
big
suburb life
house,
lah.
everything.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Have
okay.
a swimming pool, you know, that kind of.
In the
Wow.
house?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
correct.
Your house got swimming
Don't
pool?
have
not? Don't have. Have that, I
Yes.
come. No, but then you never rent out your HDB.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, what's the thought process?
I guess you look at your affordability. I stay in a jumbo flat. It
Wow.
is 1,007
Luxury.
square
No wonder
foot.
you're in Woodlands, right? That area then got jumbo.
I guess being property agent, we kind of speculate a little bit in terms of where we think there's some kind of transformation, right? So I'm very bullish on Woodlands. So I moved there in 2018. So actually, a lot of my clients are also in Woodlands. So they also picked up jumbo flats in Woodlands. So I sold them the idea of Woodlands, what it's going to be in the future.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
URA never sponsor, huh? Today.
I forgot studying the URA master plan
yeah,
helps.
I know. I got
Yeah.
new one iterating.
So
yeah.
I kind of knew that space will be a commodity.
Yeah.
Right, it's going to be highly valued in the future. So despite the remaining lease, and then I think structurally at that point of time in 2018, they were very aggressive on sell one buy two
Oh yeah,
yeah. Correct.
Like quiet already. I don't hear that anymore.
because property prices
Oh,
already
Sorry,
go up.
over.
Yeah. I mean, there are still people doing it. I'm sure there are. So it really depends on your affordability.
Yeah, correct.
So
But don't do it. The mortgage rates are crazy these days. So that's a different discussion. Huh? Yeah.
Yes,
So
correct.
all these people they bifurcate. You know, they got each person get one mortgage of. Oh my god, so many people overloaded with this thing. Now, back then it was great. Musical chairs, right? Keep going. Very nice. Huh?
So what I did back then was that I studied the HDB policy. Then I realized that there is a difference in definition between satisfying a family nucleus and legal ownership. So me and my wife are married. We satisfy the definition of family nucleus, so we can buy a HDB. Right? But in terms of affordability, if I can afford the HDB on my own, then I can become the legal owner. Then my wife becomes the occupier, which is the essential occupier. My property journey started from a BTO. Then, of course, we sold the BTO, made some money there, and then we moved to the HDB jumbo flat. And then I started doing this subdivision whereby you can split the unit into two, whereby you can stay on the 4-room side, rent out the 3-room side, or you can stay on the 3-room side and rent out the 4-room side, depending on
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
so because the whole idea of jumbo flat was because there was a period of time there were flats not being sold, right? So they merge it together and become this huge flat, and then they
Yes.
resell to the market as a jumbo.
Correct.
But what you're doing is you go back in and you
Yes,
splice
right.
it up.
Correct. So again, you got to understand how the floor plans are like, right? So from there, I realized what can be done and reconvert it back into a 4-room flat or a 3-room flat. Some are 4-room plus 4-room. Some are 3 plus 3, 3-room plus 3-room. So I make it into a dual key.
Oh my god! I thought people only do that in condos.
Yes.
Oh.
So there are more and more HDBs, jumbo flats, which are being converted into dual key. And then, of course, legally, you can sublet out 2 rooms within your MOP.
So technically, you sublet one side of the house, lah. Essentially.
right.
Oh my, jumbo flat also do this, ah.
Yes.
Okay, that's an
Yeah.
insight. Yeah. How much rent can you get from Woodland area?
So always conservatively, I put at about per room, you put at $700
Okay.
per room.
So you
if
offset
I'm-
your 4,000 ringgit a month stay at Horizon
Yes.
Hills.
Wow.
Okay.
So you could do that. And of course, I not only did I joke with my wife, sometimes I joke with my clients. I mean, after 5 years MOP, you can rent out everything. If you have 6 bedrooms and I just average it out at about $800 per room, you're collecting about 4,008. Your mortgage is only about what, 2,005, depending on interest rates. You're still collecting about 2,000 passive. So then you can make whichever career moves that you think you want to make, whether you want to become an entrepreneur, whether you want to become freelancer. You kind of have that flexibility of choice.
Okay. I know this is not the topic today, but I push you a bit on this,
Okay.
because the RTS is getting built, right, into Bukit Chandra, right? I think that's
Bukit Jaga.
the Bukit Jaga, right?
Yes.
So that's the once that is built, right? Essentially, it's very smooth, right? To get from Johor to Singapore,
Yep.
like let's say you get to Raffles Place, okay, we use Raffles Place as the example. To get from Raffles Place to Woodland North, maybe 40 minutes, and then
Yeah.
from there you go further to Bukit Jaga is like what, 10,
15
20
minutes,
minutes,
yeah.
right, at most, right?
Yeah.
So why do I then need to stay in Woodland? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. I think maybe the people that stay like Sembawang, Woodland, Yishun, Admiralty, that
Yeah.
whole bunch, right, can all go in, can all go into Johor. That's something that I've been thinking of. So curious, what's your thoughts on that?
My thought process on that. So I agree, right? And if you're looking at the estimated number of commuters expected for RTS a day, you're looking at about 200 to maybe 250,000 people coming in and out every day. All you need is just maybe 10% of that to say, I don't want to battle with the crowd. I think I just want to get a room here.
So you think there's still a baseline demand
There's
for
still
this
a
thing?
baseline demand.
Okay,
And then
okay.
you have to look at what is upcoming in Woodlands. I mean, there are other... So for example, Woodlands General Hospital at Woodlands South, largest hospital in Singapore. There are going to be workers there. There are going to be employees there. And they do shift. After I finish my shift, I want to go back, and travel all that way to Johor if I were to rent in Johor because it's cheaper. I think I might be better off just renting a room here while I'm working here. And then during my off days, I just go back.
Okay, fair,
easily.
fair. I think the bigger risk will be if Johor builds an MRT.
Yes.
Right? Then that's a different
Oh,
discussion
yeah,
altogether already. Because it's MRT lead to home. But I get what you're saying. There's still that travel to the place and then come over, then like shack, right? Too many
Yes.
people. Okay,
And
fair,
then again,
fair.
I also don't know about the impact on Johor rental market. So whether...
The arbitrage closes. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So whether does it for that extra 20 or even 30 minutes of travel time just to get to my place in Johor, whether it makes sense for me to just, for that convenience, I just pick up a room here in Woodlands.
Wow, welcome
Yeah.
to the Woodland Jumbo Flat strategy. Never knew that was such a thing, but cool.
Yeah, so now I have that choice, right? I can rent out everything because I've hit my minimum occupation period and my wife's name is free and we can pick up a private property without incurring additional buyer's stamp duty under my wife's name. But again, property
That's not
price...
house view, because today mortgage is very high. Yeah.
So again, mortgage is very high.
Yeah.
Property prices has also increased.
Yeah.
So whatever I've sort of saved up looking at a 1.2 or 1.4 million
You feel
property
like not
purchase,
enough,
I feel like it's not so worth it.
I know. Jurong already like 2008 PSF. I was like, what,
Yeah, Woodlands new launch is going to be like at 2000 PSF
what
already.
is going on here? Simei is 1005. So Simei, welcome all of you. Right? If nobody wants to go anywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay. So property aside, I
Yeah,
think
property aside.
there's a lot more consideration towards shifting to Johor,
Yeah.
right?
So I guess you're looking at a few things, right? You're talking about cost of living. Of course, the numbers, if again in Johor, right, you need to know where to find where the locals go.
No, I think that is simple, Like after a while you sit there, that one a while.
Kind of know already.
You can't settle. That
More
one
or
not
less, you know.
difficult. But the difficult one is you have 3 kids. That's the difficult one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like some people they go there, like Hossan is there, no kids, right? Like Gary on the other episode, kids are so old already.
Yeah.
Don't need the parents anymore, right? But you have 3 young kids. You have kids also.
Yeah,
And
correct.
your friends also have kids,
Yeah.
right? So what is the situation there? Because you're not retiring per se. I would call you rebasing.
Yes.
You base in Johor, right? So our JB is specific, right? So like what is the structure there? What is your thought process? How much are you spending? All that.
Okay, so we've gotten the housing part settled.
yeah.
I think you're talking about day-to-day expenses. Of course, you can save
Yeah.
when you are there.
I'm sure.
Groceries, utilities,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, your mobile network.
Actually, internet is very expensive in Malaysia. More expensive than Singapore, I feel. Okay.
Depends on your plan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
continue.
So,
Yes.
so that one is, I think we can tend to agree on. Now you talk about kids, right?
Yeah.
So depending on where you are,
How atas the education, huh? Yeah.
how atas you are. I scared I offend people, bro.
No, it's okay. This is a discussion.
So you have your PCF Sparkle Thoughts all the way to your Julia Gabriels,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I used to send my kids to an Islamic Montessori school in Woodlands. Okay, so even after the working mother subsidy, I'm still paying about $900 a month per child.
$900 a month,
Yeah,
okay.
so I'm just going to round it up to 1,000 per child. Of course, my daughter goes to primary school. She's now in primary school now. Technically, if she were in Singapore, she would still be in primary school, primary 3 or primary 4 at that point of time. So the load of the expenses on kids are on their childcare and school, which is additional about 1,000 a month per kid. That works out to about $2,000 a month Sing dollars. Now, if I were to convert that to ringgit per year, 2,000 times 12, that's 24,000. 24,000 times 3.4, that works out to about 80k RM a year. Then I was looking at the international school pricing, right? Of course, they have a range. The younger you are, the cheaper it is. Of course, they have a wide range of international schools.
Yes.
So my kids go to Invictus. Invictus is Singapore based. One of the reasons why I chose that school. And some of the teachers there are also Singaporeans. Okay, so they have a mix, right?
They all want to stay big house, then they go over.
In fact, the principal is from Singapore
Oh, okay.
and stays in Singapore and commutes to Invictus.
wow.
Yeah,
We should
very-
get the principal on.
You should.
Yeah.
So it ranges from about maybe 22 ringgit when you're younger, all the way up to 48,000
Yeah,
ringgit.
talking about per annum, right?
Not per sem,
Okay,
huh?
okay.
No, not per
Okay,
sem.
okay.
Wow, then it's a very huge difference
Yeah,
from
very
the,
very huge
yeah.
difference. Got trimester, got all those things, different pattern, different school, different. What about your?
My good friend, right? Actually, he's also my client. So I'm a financial coach, right? So I run through the numbers with him.
So he has all the numbers.
I have all the numbers. So from the college, Marlborough College.
And that's more expensive, right?
Yeah.
That's the higher end.
Think
The most
is-
atas
I think
of them
should
all.
be the highest. I was quite shocked when I saw the numbers.
Yeah.
They even published the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then by tier, which year, how much.
Yes.
The first tier, I think, is about 80 to 90,000 ringgit per year. Yeah. Then the rest is all six figure.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, six
no wonder
figure.
they hire Hossan to teach
Yeah.
drama, speech.
They probably got the budget to do
They
it.
got the budget.
Yeah. So because it's a very lifelong commitment, I try to share my point of view. When I first planned for them, I was like, wow, this is going to be like at minimally a 12 years commitment. We are not even talking about the university. Yeah. So from 6 years old until 18 years old, right? I tabulate the whole cost of it, like easily 400,000 per kid.
400,000
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's something probably
400,000 Sing, right? Just for clarity's
Yeah,
sake.
Sing
Yeah,
dollar.
yeah. Because there was a ringgit, there was a Sing. I just want to be clear.
because
400
they are kind of like job recharging. They are earning in
I get
Singapore
it, I get
dollar,
it.
then they bring it back.
Yeah.
So conveniently, calculation is about $2,000 per kid per month, basically. So one kid is about 24,000. So every half a year, they will tell me, hey, now my funds a bit tight because they're going to pay like half a year of school fee, which is easily, I think, 30 to 40,000, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. When I tabulate everything and then I show them that, right? Then after all this, right, you still got to think about their college, which I believe will be Marlborough, I don't know, like go to UK
Yeah,
to
probably,
study,
right? I mean,
guess.
you send your kids to this type of school, the
you
natural
will-
cannot
you
be
will
coming
want
to
them-
NUS,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's not that
Yeah,
NUS
yeah.
is bad, huh?
No, it's not.
There's a cultural trajectory. When
Yeah,
parents
yeah.
send their kids to this type of school, then they will go further.
Your expectation will be at least a Marlborough standard kind of like overseas
crazy.
lah.
So Marlborough is which kind of education pathway? The Cambridge or the American school?
Cambridge.
Yeah.
Because the way they speak is British, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, British accent. So I believe it's the Cambridge.
So one of the reasons why I chose Invictus is because it was the Cambridge route. And then the reason why I set my property portfolio up, one HDB and one private, is so that I intend to hold my HDB kind of forever. I don't really care if the value depreciates. I mean, if I want to stay elsewhere, I can just rent out everything, right?
Yeah.
If
correct.
I want to choose to come back to stay, I can stay on the 3-room side, even as retirees. It's so convenient where my place
it's
is in Woodlands.
literally two properties together.
Yeah.
So
So
this jumbo flat dream like strong, huh?
yeah,
No wonder you
interesting,
convince so many people shift to Woodlands. Yeah, continue.
So the idea is that actually I plan to send my kids back to Singapore for their further education. So I just graduated from NUS in my master's in real estate. So I kind of went through the rigors of our local universities, and I feel that there's a reason why they are top 10.
It's good.
Right? And I think the alumni network is rich and the professors are good. The kind of class discussions that we have, it encourages you to be more thoughtful of certain changes in policies, interest rates, economics and whatnot. So I would love for my kids to come back to Singapore to have the Singapore education. Again, it depends on culture, I guess. If you are in like Marlborough, for example, and the trajectory is towards a UK university, you're going to Cambridge or even you're going to US, Harvard and all that, then maybe that is the pathway for them. But I think I don't come from elite schools and I only graduated recently. So I felt that I just wanted my kids to have something different in an international school experience. I think the way our kids are going to grow up, they got to be more globally connected. You get to have more friends from across the world. You understand that you're not just Singapore with your Malays, Indians and Chinese community. There are other people outside, your Koreans, your Japanese, your Thais and whatnot. So I want them to have that kind of like international exposure.
Partly, I don't think Singapore parents will send their kids to Malaysia public school, right? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that there's a different set of expectation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
so that's the general sense, right? So when people shift over to Johor, the idea is we're here to choose between the different private school, which one works for our kids,
Yes.
right? That's the baseline of thought, right? We're not exploring
Correct.
public at all, right?
I mean, Singapore education system is still good, I feel. Of course, certain schools will have more intense competition. So you're talking about your ACS Junior, your ACSI. And then at that point of time, I was even contemplating whether I want my kids to go through that kind of rigor.
Yeah, correct.
You know, whereby you finish school and then you pack their schedule with tuition and then with swimming class, with piano class.
The usual, yeah.
You're feeling it,
Yeah.
What do you do with your kids, man?
Okay, I probably talk about my friends. So
Yeah.
they are actually doing the same thing. So even though they go international school, after school they still have their remedials, their tuition, their swimming class, piano. It is the same thing lah. It's just that the cost is different lah.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's a lot of difference lah, basically.
So they bring the Singapore over.
Yeah. So imagine my friends, they are actually school teachers.
Yeah.
And they kind of like think that there should be some alternative way to kind of like bring out the best out of their kids. So their kids are probably better in arts or any other subject. But then academic, of course, I guess Singapore will still be better if they are very good academically.
And then you have these checkpoints, right?
Yeah.
So for international, they call it checkpoints. They don't call it PSLE.
Oh, it's called checkpoints.
It's called checkpoints.
Okay.
Yeah. They will assess. They do have exams. It's not they don't. They still have exam.
Wow, so neutral, this term, checkpoint. Yeah. We're just here to check. Yeah. It's not an exam, we're not here to test you.
Yeah. So that pressure, right? That pressure being in a Singapore primary school, whereby you have that PSLE and then which secondary school you're gonna go to, that social comparison.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, again, this is individual choice. I mean, for me, socially, I feel that I think there's no need for all of that, okay? And I just want my kids to have a different kind of childhood. Yes, they do have some activities, some art class here, some swimming class here in Johor. But actually, most of the time, they are out in the garden or they're out at the playground outside the garden. They're running around, climbing around, they are cycling.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they are bored and we just leave them to their devices. They self-play. So it encourages more creativity, imagination. So just a different way of upbringing, I guess.
So you believe in that whole like love, education with love, that type of thing?
I guess I do.
No, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just curious, where are you on that? Yeah.
I guess I went through that whole Singapore thing, you come back home from school, if you don't finish your homework on time, you kena whack, that kind of thing. Right? And then the whole table time, sit at your desk, do your work, then after that, if you are good, then maybe you can get TV, that kind of thing. I mean, I still have that kind of policy, just that it's not so aggressive as what I went through, right?
But it got you to where you are. So you don't want your kids to do the same thing. Before this become a parenting podcast, right? I just want to know, like, when parents go to Johor, how wild their imagination will expand, how they spend and all that. So
so I mean, there is a lot of, so socially, I think people of my generation who went through similar, right? Yeah, I turned out okay, right? It's not that I failed in life or anything like that. I still turned out okay. But I think there are issues, still underlying issues that someone will go through with their parents. So do I want that kind of relationship later in the future? Or do I want, my kids to be still around me and all that?
Fair.
Right? So I guess culturally, it depends on you.
Yeah. Fair.
I mean, Asian society, sometimes you do get the feedback, I'm not meeting my parents' expectation, I disappoint my parents and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So then you're talking about mental health, you got to work through this past trauma so that you can move forward. So for Asian society, I'm just trying out something new.
Yeah. Okay, fair. Yeah,
so
I hear
you have your nature.
Yeah. And it helps that you're there, right? Like when you're in Johor, the possibilities open up.
Correct.
Right. Because some of these things are just too expensive here.
Yes.
Right. Then when you go
correct.
there, your spend can really become very
So
flexible.
I think financially also, with 3 kids to travel to, say for example, Japan, Australia, US, Europe is costly, right? So I'm aware of the opportunity cost here. So I could spend a little bit more here in Singapore as well as in Johor because I'm not renting out my property. So I got a mortgage to pay, I got a rental to pay, I got my kids' education to pay for, right? So I know that the opportunity cost is less flights. But at the same time, I don't mind traveling regionally. For me, right? But my wife, she loves to drive. So that's a bonus for me. So that's one of the considerations. If your wife don't like driving or can't drive, then don't move, right?
Yeah. But you did a whole road trip. So,
I
so that's
did
crazy.
a very fun road trip. I want to advocate like certain system like for our child, right? I want them to think like beyond the boundary lah. So basically, if you go, Singapore is so small. It's just like 40 kilometer by 20 kilometer. There's a very limiting thought for the kids as well as for us lah. It's like we always just think, Singapore context, that's all. So once I travel, do the road trip up, right? I'm actually trying to go even eventually to Thailand, just to kind of like open up their thoughts that actually this is possible. Yeah, you're not limited by your geographical limitation. With a car, with some planning, you can actually drive all the way up to Thailand. Yeah, I mean the kids sometimes find it a bit boring if they are in the car lah. But then I realized there's a lot of like connection time with them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to them, talking about their classmate, that kind of thing. Because got nothing to do. I don't give them screen time during in the car. Yeah. So they got to sing, listen to the music, the radio.
Yes.
We sing together, we talk together.
Yes.
So the camaraderie that you can never get in any other activities. Let's just say, yeah.
So it becomes somewhat a tradition, right? To
Yeah,
go
it became a tradition
for long drives, for
yes,
example.
correct. I enjoy that a lot, yeah.
Which I do enjoy, my wife enjoy. You're talking about cost here and commute, right? So you did that in your Singapore car?
Oh yeah, in my Singapore car.
So it is possible to do in a Singapore car, but of course I have a certain preference when it comes to...
Because as parents, we don't have a lot of time basically. So for a road trip to be planned is much easier. Just load up everything into the boot and then just go off.
So my work here in Singapore, I drive a Singapore car.
Yeah, because Singaporeans cannot drive Malaysian car coming in.
Correct.
Right?
But of course in Malaysia, I picked up a car there. And the choice of cars, because my wife is driving most of the time, right? So I don't want any issues with the car. So you can forget about the German cars.
Reliability.
You want to go for reliability, you're looking at probably either the Malaysian car or a Japanese car, which is 7-seater for me, because I have 3 kids at the back, 2 kids.
You have a party at the back.
Yeah, they need more space. Everything on the barang-barang can load up at the back.
So you rent it or you bought it also?
I bought.
Okay. How much was it?
Okay, so it ranges, right? So there are a few, depending on your affordability. You could go for...
Still got full spec, small half spec, all the while. I never heard of these things, but yes.
So you could go for your Malaysian versions, your Pro Dua or your Protons. Protons slightly expensive more than Pro Dua. Pro Dua 7-seater can set you back about 80 to 90,000 ringgit.
Yeah.
Brand new.
So it was very interesting to learn about the car market, the second-hand car market there, the first-hand car market there. And of course, the idea of owning something forever is very appealing to me.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't buy a brand new car. I bought a second-hand Toyota Fortuner. So cost about 160,000 ringgit. And depending on income, if you are planning to take a loan in Malaysia as a Singaporean, most of the time they will require a local guarantor. But if your income is of a certain level, then some banks don't require you to...
Does this translate to mortgage also? I don't know, because you never buy a house there yet, but I just want to know, does this like local guarantor, because take loan is from the banks, right? Does this local guarantor translate to Singaporeans getting a mortgage also, or is it just a car?
I think it's just the car.
Okay.
I mean, 7 months in, why I choose Johor is, of course, is my launch pad, right? I get to network with the Johor property market, the property agents there on the ground, get to know the banks, and then at the same time get to know the policies. It's still work in progress, but my understanding is there's no requirement for a local guarantor. Again, depends on your income profile and
so
your age.
They will just ask you for your bank statement, those things, just to validate, because they don't have direct numbers from there, right?
They can use Singapore income statement.
Okay.
Of course, bank statements help.
Of course.
If you have the Malaysian bank account set up and you have a certain amount of money in there, then that helps.
As with all banks, they will call you, try to sell you things. Anyway,
And again, property choices, one of the reasons why I choose to rent first is that I'm unsure of what's on the ground. I haven't explored enough.
Yeah.
And I don't like to rush into a purchase. I want to understand the market first. How does it work there? And where I see are the demand indicators there? Where are the supply indicators there? Where I see there's potential? Then probably I might pick up one, because then that goes to my long-term intention of securing a MM2H visa. Right? I mean, for now, for me, I'm still on the ASEAN visa, right? Every 30 days. But because of my frequent travel due to my work in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore, so I'm not really in Malaysia over a period of 30 days completely. So for my wife and kids, student visa and the guardian visa, so they can stay in Malaysia. In and out of Singapore, you have Max to help with that.
Okay.
So you don't have to stamp. I probably have to update my passport.
I think we covered a lot of the big things. Maybe one last big thing that is not discussed is the insurance side of things. Right? So medical costs, insurance, right? So what is the structure you've adopted? You know, like how does it work for you?
My insurance has been in place, I think, since I started work, and even as my family grew along. And then,
so even if you shift over, you never make any changes?
We do pick up some insurance for if I recall, for the visa application. I think you need some kind of insurance there, but it's not expensive. for a family, basic ones.
Basic means no use, is it?
Like your dependent protection scheme, that kind.
Okay. Very minimal.
Yeah.
But most of my policies are here.
Okay.
Yeah. So even for my kids are here. So again, the proximity is what appeals me, because in the event really something happens to my kids,
You rush back.
I can rush back.
Okay. So you have no plans or
Jurong
saying.
Ng Teng Fong is near to us. Woodlands General Hospital near Causeway.
Okay.
Horizon Hill is sort of in between both checkpoints. So depending on traffic, I can choose which one I want to go.
Okay.
So like for example, door to door from Horizon Hills to Woodlands, right? For me, because I stay in Woodlands, it's as fast as 40 minutes
Okay.
if the traffic is smooth.
So that means your thought process does not include integrating with the local medical system,
I mean, if basic flu, fall, you can go to the normal doctor.
but
Or
those
health
don't need
screening, all
insurance
this, yeah.
anyway.
That one also not so expensive. I mean, if let's say fever, cough, flu, you kind of go to a local doctor here. I mean, I'm self-employed, so I still have to pay, right, for the consultation fee. If you go to a higher, you're not going to the polyclinic route, right? A normal clinic could set you back maybe what, $50, $80, right? Now there is about 50 to 80 ringgit, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
And I mean, just one normal medication, antibiotics and whatnot. You can still go to the local clinics there.
Yeah, fair. I get it. Just want to know the clarity, which is that in any big situation, you will come back. You're not exploring anything there at this
Yeah.
point in time. Okay.
But if let's say really it requires immediate attention, then I always have Gleneagles to fall back on.
Oh yeah,
So
correct.
that's the other consideration. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit? Because Hossan talked a little bit about it, but he never complete the discussion. So the comment section is like, which hospital?
The
He
Ma-
keep
the
going,
Madini one, right?
Glenn. So tell us more that thought process around
Okay,
there.
so why I choose the Iskandar area is because I know that I want to be near Gleneagles Hospital. So Gleneagles is known here in
Yeah,
Singapore.
they better sponsor us. We keep talking about them. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
an IHH group. Okay.
IHH group, correct. And I knew that they had hospital in Medini area.
Yeah, Madini, yeah, correct.
And I guess for certain procedures, you could use your CPF to pay even in Gleneagles, Medini. I don't know about other hospitals in Johor, but my main focus is if really need immediate attention, there's always Gleneagles to go back to. And if really they need to transport from Gleneagles, Medini to Gleneagles, Singapore, I'm more than happy to. So that is when talking about really major accidents or incidents.
Okay, so that's the thought process. Is that a valid thought process from your professional standpoint?
Because when I was planning for my friend, right, who stays there, they have the same approach, definitely. So anything serious, they will come back. They will depend on their hospitalization plan in Singapore. But like as you say, the normal flu, all these things, they will do it there. So I think they also kind of like went to Medini to do the health screening. Yeah.
Everyone is going there.
Yeah, I need to do also.
Actually exploring to go there. With my wife, we will stay overnight and then we'll do the whole checkup, the comprehensive thing.
My. Okay,
So just want to see their service level, how the whole thing works, basically. Yeah. So my friend actually adopted that approach also. But then I think that was one approach. Medical side, I think shouldn't be a problem. It's just that I think when COVID hits, right, they were struggling. What hit them was because they were studying, just one consideration, the kids are studying there, right? So when the border closed, right, everyone got to come back to Singapore.
Yeah.
Which I think you got that part solved because you got your own place.
Yes.
Come back, but then you kind of like lessen some of the rental income. So that's one hit that they took. Because even at Marlborough, when they came back, they got to do the online teaching for the next, I think 1 year plus or something like that before they can go back full time. So, but then they never planned for this contingent, which is understandably so because COVID was unprecedented.
Yeah, it's Black Swan. How to plan for that.
Yeah, so they run into some because the cost.
So the Horizon Hill people that came back to Johor, came back to Singapore were the ones that caused the property prices to rental rates to move up, is it?
Yeah, correct. So they also face some, when they were renting out their unit, they also face some problems of people that can't pay for the increase in rental, all this thing. So if it's unrented out, it kind of like affected their income in a way. In that sense, I think because they don't no other source of income other than the two properties, I think it will be good that we can think of like alternative income source just in case because to them it's like a golden goose, right? Two rental property renter comes in no matter they're working or not. But then one health scare actually scare them because they don't have like the critical illness. So I got them to buy the critical illness.
In Singapore?
In Singapore. Everything is in Singapore.
Okay.
But then I think half a year later, I think one of them got a stroke or something like that. Yeah, but then thank God, I mean, it's already incepted. So that's something. And then, so this thing about like one person earning more and then the other person earning less or not working, because there's this danger of this sole breadwinner,
Yeah.
you got a stroke and then you can't do anything already. Then that's your main income generator.
Yeah.
So a lot of people never think about, from this perspective, how should they protect to make sure that their kids still can continue on the Marlboro dream or something like that. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that is something that people
Wake
got
up,
to
lah, don't Marlboro dream. Okay, anyway.
Because it's a huge commitment.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
it's a 12 years journey. I mean, they have been there for like 10 years already. So it's another 2 years. So you don't want anything to jeopardize. So on the protection part, probably something can be looked upon too, to make sure the continuity of the plan.
I think I can add on to that point because
Marlboro dream,
not the Marlboro dream.
Marlboro dream.
So again, that were some of the considerations, right? I'm self-employed. I'm the sole breadwinner. My wife is not working, okay? And if anything happens to me, that I need to make sure that I'm adequately covered so that she can, continue her lifestyle. She will also have that flexibility of choice, whether she wants to come back to Singapore because I still have the home here in Singapore. I know that, and mentally, we are also prepared. If this international thing doesn't work out for us, for whatever reasons, we are mentally prepared to come back to Singapore even.
Okay.
So what I usually advocate what you want is that flexibility of choice, flexibility of options to be able to come back whenever you want to. And you always have a base to come back to.
Yes, correct.
So that's how I mitigate those kind of risks. So even if another COVID were to happen, am I prepared to pull my kids out of the international school and come back to a Singapore school?
Yeah.
They are still Singaporeans, right? I will definitely save some money also if all of them are in primary school, for sure. But of course, I want them to have a different kind of experience, right? That's why I enrolled them in an international school.
Okay,
Fair.
fair.
Yeah, it's good to think about this contingency.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting.
Correct.
Conclusion is Glen Eagles must sponsor. Right? Like everyone is going.
We are going to your... we are going for a health screening.
Must sponsor. Okay, write in hello@thefinancialprogram.com. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I think we covered most of the major expenses that people will consider and the thought process around how you evaluated this decision going over. Okay, so that's cool. In closing, any last things you want to add? Or if our audience would like to connect with you to dig deeper into your story and your ideas, where can they connect with?
You can find me on LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn is the most...
It's the most
best place.
More active. I love to write there, and I love to share my thoughts on LinkedIn. And if, let's say, I have some advice for someone considering it, I guess you look at your work commitments. That's one of it. Be patient. Don't rush the process. And it takes two to work this thing through.
Must seed the idea.
Okay, so your partner needs to be fully on board, and there are certain, I guess, opportunity costs, and there are certain lifestyle expectations that you got to manage. If, let's say, you really had it with the Singapore way of life, being stressed.
Small space, high intense. Yeah.
Yes. So I think which you probably have covered in your previous podcast. Then it's something worth exploring, but don't commit to a purchase immediately, right?
Yeah.
Try to explore.
Rent first.
Yeah. and it's part of your plan. You rented, right? You didn't go in immediately, right? Because I see a lot of Singaporeans at the show flat. Then they totally confirm never stay here before one. Because you're like, wow, like very nice. The way of life you need to experience, you need to taste it. Then you know whether this is for you. And if not, never mind. Singapore welcomes you back, right? So
exactly.
I think that's the idea.
I got something to add on. So because most people, they think of moving to JB is more like thinking more about the financial aspect, the job arbitrage, lesser cost, all this thing. But a lot of people never think about the non-financial part, which is something that I guess most people should think about. I think people, they move there, right? They need to, like, what you did is correct. You rent there because you are not sure, like, will you get used to the lifestyle there? Because some people, they find the lifestyle a bit slow, like, not everyone likes it. I mean, for me, I'm open to it, but then not everyone likes it. So I think it's a good idea that you actually say that, okay, just go there, see if the kids like it, the pace of life, what they are doing. Yeah, I think that's a very good, a wise choice, basically. Yeah.
I think one part we didn't talk about was the safety concerns as
Oh
well.
yeah, the safety concern. Yeah, correct.
Anything you want to add on safety?
Yeah, so on safety, Horizon Hills is like a gated
Yeah,
community.
it's Horizon Hill is not Johor Bahru. It's Horizon
It's also
Hill.
double gated, right? Something like that.
Yes. Yeah. But the first gate, not really strict on it. Yeah. The second one, yes. They're very particular. So anyone who comes in, they will definitely call you, oh, you have this Shopee delivery, you have this food delivery. It's highly secured, I feel. But then there was a article recently, okay, that there was a drug operation running within Horizon Hills.
Wow.
So the joke was that it's so safe,
secure that
and
we
so
can
secure.
run our operation
Yeah.
inside.
And they were run by Singaporeans.
Oh my goodness.
So as Singaporeans, also, I mean, behave yourself there, right?
Yeah, be smart.
Interact and integrate
Low profile, integrate
with the
speak their
local.
language.
If you can speak their language, even better.
Amazing.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely a bonus for me and my kids, and it also helps with my kids' second language also.
Yeah.
If they start to interact with people in Bahasa.
Is it a situation where even the Malay kids cannot speak Malay anymore? Because the Chinese kids cannot speak Chinese anymore.
Yeah, I think in Singapore context, I think
Yeah.
you're seeing more of that.
Yeah. It's a bit
Yeah.
problematic. Yeah, but that's a different podcast. Okay. Yeah.
The spin-off to the
Yeah,
topics.
Okay, so once again, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Reggie,
and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you have more questions, put in the comment section. If this thing goes viral again, then we'll do another Johor episode. Maybe we can do Malacca or Ipoh, right, or somewhere else.
Wow.
So
Even KL.
yeah, KL, right? KL welcomes you. So let's see. Okay, thank you. That's it. Bye.